Anywhere. Access inspiration that never switches off. Stuck in traffic? Elevate your mood and own the moment. Just looking busy? Make every second count. Tap into Kingdom content instead. One tap. Instant power. Real transformation. Download the Elevate TV app now. Exclusively on Google Play.
Elevate TV, advancing Kingdom lifestyle.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, our viewers. This is your Monday morning digest show. I'm your host, Godfrey Gichuki, and I welcome you to join us for this amazing conversation. And as always, Monday morning, it's a time to tease out some of the good ideas out here in the market. Today is the 9th of June 2025. The year is rushing very fast. We are almost at the middle of this year, so I hope that you're reflecting and looking at what you've been able to accomplish the last 5 months of this year, and looking forward to accomplish more in the latter part of this year as we head towards the middle of the year, and then of course the next second part of the year. So welcome. Today we're going to have a conversation. We are talking about franchise and licensing, the opportunities in franchising and licensing. And I have an amazing guest here on the show, and you're going to be learning so much today. So please join us and share. Those of you that are following on the social media platforms, of course, we are live on Elevate TV Kenya, Facebook, and YouTube channels, and so please join us. Let's get this conversation underway. Let me ask my guest to introduce himself very briefly. Mr. Omuga Ogwang, karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Very good, very good. I'm very happy to have you here. You are a very good man, and we're going to be hearing a lot from you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So look at this camera and welcome our viewers and all your friends to join us in this conversation.
Good morning. My name is Ogwang, Omuga Ogwang, and welcome to this conversation that I'm hoping is going to impact something about your life, the way you appear at the marketplace. Regardless whether you are an entrepreneur or someone in vocation, it really doesn't matter. What we have to conversate about today will affect all of us, because as long as we are appearing at the marketplace, it's incumbent upon all of us to constantly sharpen our axe at how we appear at the marketplace. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful. Omuga, I'm very happy. Like I've said that, you represent a very interesting part of the entrepreneurial space.
Yes, sir.
Franchising. A lot of people are not familiar with the business of franchises, yes, or sir, running franchises, and the licensing. Yes, and we're not talking about Kanjo license.
Yes,
we are not talking about license from the government, a trade license.
Yes.
Although a trade license is important, we're talking about licensing at a different level.
Yes, sir.
Where you're dealing with, a dealer, manufacturer, and stuff like that.
Yes.
All right. So I want you to introduce these ideas. So let's talk about franchise and licensing and the institute that you run.
Yes,
so
sir,
you can give a little bit of a background,
yes,
to that. While you're at it, you can also tell us how you even got into this business.
Amazing.
And yeah.
My background is I practice an area of law called intellectual property.
Okay.
And intellectual property is one of the most neglected areas of resource, particularly in the African marketplace.
Okay.
Because we look at intellectual property from an adversarial angle, that I need to protect this innovation so that someone does not steal it. In intellectual property, we reason that whatever you can protect but you cannot use is of little significance.
Yes.
So intellectual property ought to be a utility product or a utility element in your business processes and your business functions.
Yes.
So with that, then we need to ask ourselves, why should I even take seriously my intellectual property? So my background is intellectual practice. I've been practicing intellectual property law for the last 15 years.
Okay.
The law prohibits me from marketing myself. So I'm only allowed to market myself under another subsidiary to the law firm that we have. And that is what is called Franchise and Licensing Institute.
Okay.
Franchise and Licensing Institute specifically now helps people to employ their intellectual property through franchising or through licensing.
Right.
Intellectual property has 16 distinct facilities.
Okay.
That any person, as long as you're in the marketplace, you can grow whatever you're doing in 16 different ways.
Okay.
And that is the conversation that the African marketplace, as at now, we should be engaging in, because intellectual property gives all of us alternatives and options at the marketplace.
Yes.
So that is me. I've been practicing this for 15 years. I'm a trademark and patent agent with Kipi.
Okay.
This thing, they don't just give us because someone has dimples. So I've been a trademark and patent agent with Kipi for the last 15 years.
Okay.
And we help people to monetize. But even more importantly than just monetizing is how can you grow an empire from something as simple as an idea.
Right.
The world all around us is ran on ideas. So there are people who seem to appear to identify that this is an idea and this is how I can convert that idea into an empire.
Yes.
Yes, Pastor.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. So we are only scratching the surface. If we have 16 different ways of breaking down intellectual property. So that's quite something. That's quite something. Okay. So basically, a lot of people that are in business, Kenya is characterized by micro, and I must emphasize the word micro.
Yes.
And small business enterprises, especially the micros. All these people running small shops in town, they are really employing themselves and maybe 2 or 3 people, less than 10 people. You are micro enterprise. So that's the kind of a lot of effort goes into the micro enterprise.
Yes.
So I think so. What you need to tell us about is this franchise and licensing. Is it for the big guys or is it for everyone? And who can get into this franchising?
That's a brilliant question.
Yes.
Intellectual property, one of the things that I love about scripture is God is not a respecter of persons.
Right.
Intellectual property similarly is not a respect of persons.
Yes.
So what intellectual property has done for the big boys, intellectual property can also do for anyone.
Right.
The only thing is majority of us at the marketplace, we appear from a point of lack of awareness.
Yes.
So intellectual property is for everyone.
Okay.
One of the qualifiers for intellectual property I ask people is, do you have a head? If you have a head, then you're a candidate for intellectual property.
Yes.
One of the things, again, Percy, if you can allow me, the greatest thing that God ever gave all of us, besides salvation and the Holy Spirit, is God gave us brains. And the human brain is the reservoir from where all ingenuity emerge.
Yes.
So if you can think of something, then intellectual property can go to work and help you develop a market around it.
Yes.
There were 2 young boys who were seated one day and they were bicycle mechanics.
Okay.
And these 2 young boys imagined what would happen if one day men could fly.
Okay.
So the bicycle mechanics perfected the principles of aerodynamics and today we call them the Wright brothers.
Yes.
So intellectual property can go to work for you wherever you are,
yes,
regardless of where you are, as long as one, you are ambitious and you are engaged in something.
Yes.
So whether you are the big boys or the little ones, intellectual property is available to all of us.
Wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Yeah. So who are some of the people you work with? And I'm asking that because I know a lot of there are a lot of young guys graduating from universities,
yes,
and into coding, software production. Those people, do they really understand? Have you worked with those kind of people? Do they understand the potential, especially if you can write a program?
Yes.
You can code, you can write, you can develop a software, say for example for running circles,
yes,
and all that and all
yes,
that. Do these people, are they aware of the whole business of, say, like protecting that product, that software, and how do you go about it actually if you wanted, or even musicians for
yes,
that matter?
Yes, sir. The ongoing conversation has been very limiting.
Okay.
The ongoing conversation has always been protect it.
Okay.
So I think at this point it's important that we
yes,
define what is intellectual property, because we might be throwing something intellectual property here, intellectual property here.
Yes.
So for this point, allow me just to define what is intellectual property.
Okay.
Intellectual property is anything that an individual can create from their mind,
yes,
which that individual can commercialize.
Okay.
So if you don't commercialize it, regardless, yes, of how many certificates you have, yeah, that is not intellectual property.
Okay.
So it only qualifies as intellectual property when a market has emerged from it.
Yes.
At some point, the suit on your back was, yeah, cotton, a cotton plantation.
Yes.
But someone drew that and the sketch, and it converted into that suit that you're wearing.
Yes.
So what stages did it take through? And what is true for a fashion designer, mm-hmm, is true for a coder, mm-hmm, it's true for an author, mm-hmm, it's true for a chef, it's, mm-hmm, true for a painter, mm-hmm, it's true for a comedian. All of us bring things from our minds, all of us bring things from our thoughts. Mm-hmm. Now the challenge is you don't know that that song is not the end in itself. Mm-hmm. That line of code is not the end in itself. Mm-hmm. When you're writing a novel, that story is not the end in itself. When you're writing a book, that book is not the end in itself. Allow me to give you a typical example. Mm-hmm. When I was growing up, I grew up reading a gentleman called Robert Kiyosaki.
Yes.
And Robert did an amazing book.
Yes.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Correct.
There is something that Robert invented in that book that many authors don't know.
Yes.
A book is a conduit for invention. A book is not the end result.
Okay.
Robert invented the cash flow quadrant.
Yes.
Robert is an accountant.
Yes.
He's not the first accountant. He's not the last accountant. But you can go as way back to our fathers in the garden.
Yes.
No one is credited with the cash flow quadrant.
Yes.
So Robert has converted the cash flow quadrant into an entire empire.
Yes.
So that is what intellectual property is.
Yes.
What have you created in a song?
Yes.
What have you created in the lines of code?
Yes.
What have you created in an instrumental, if you are an instrumentalist?
Yes.
What have you created as a chef, mm-hmm, in your recipe?
Yes.
What have you created as a designer? Mm-hmm. So the thing that you've created, that is what you stake an ownership over, and then intellectual property helps you convert that into an empire.
Okay.
So that is what I want us to particularly your viewer, to be aware of, that intellectual property is anything.
Yes.
There's an individual that is called Michael Buffer.
Yes.
Michael Buffer is a ringside commentator. And Michael realized that whenever he enunciated certain words,
yeah,
the entire auditorium would go electric.
Yes.
Michael Buffer converted 5 words.
Yes.
Are you ready to rumble?
Yes.
Into an entire industry that from that he has made $500 million.
Oh my goodness.
So the most important thing is this.
Yeah.
What is identified with you as an individual?
Yes.
What can be associated with you as an individual?
Yes.
Intellectual property is not something that we can restrict into silos.
Yes.
That if it's not copyright, it's not intellectual property. If it's not trademark, it's not intellectual property. The human mind has no limits to
Okay.
what it can imagine,
Yes.
what it can create.
Okay.
So the most important thing is, what are you creating?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Wow. You know, I am getting very, very excited about this. You know, you're going to give us so many examples, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more.
Yes, sir.
Because apparently, even Kenya and Kenyan politicians, and even of the set you're talking to, you were telling me about some of the things Moi, you know, brought about.
Yes.
I think it's very, very interesting. So what you're saying is that whether you are writing a song,
Yes.
or you're produced a book or something like that, you must go beyond that,
Yes.
and ask yourself, what is that unique element,
Yes.
that you have put together in that book or in
Yes.
that song,
Yes.
that then now you can commercialize,
Yes.
not just protect, because you can protect a
Commercialize.
book,
Yes.
you know, and then just sell the book.
Yes.
But you can also create a kind of a unique course
Yes.
that is associated with that book,
Yes.
that then you own. And you
Yes.
see, that's what Americans beat us.
Yes.
And I think you need to mention some of the unique way Americans have been making money off the rest of us.
Yes.
You know, by just creating ideas and commercializing, reproducing those ideas,
Yes.
and making them sellable
Yes.
to the rest of the world.
Yes.
That's amazing. All right, so you mentioned Kipi and all that. Maybe you can go back to the system. So today, if
Yes.
somebody, let's take whether it's a comedian or a book author or a chef,
Yes.
with a specific recipe.
Yes, sir.
And so, you know, they are around town. Some of the hotels are looking for this particular recipe,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. How do you go through that process so that then now you become the owner of this particular recipe, and then you can commercialize that? How do you go about that?
That's a brilliant question. Where most of us stop.
Yes.
Perhaps if you go to any library today,
Yes.
in any university,
Yes.
you'll come across tons and tons of academic projects.
Yes.
And each one has the inscription copyright.
Yes.
So the question is, what is copyrighted in this body of work?
Yes.
Someone will tell you the entire body of work is copyrighted.
Okay.
Copyright is not a blanket facility.
Yes.
So copyright does not protect everything in a book.
Yes.
Copyright protects something specific in that book.
Okay.
So what is specific in that book is what one converts into a business.
Okay.
A typical example, like we have said about Robert Kiyosaki, he wrote the story of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yes.
But in that story, he invented the cash flow quadrant.
Yes.
Another example would be, I got born again in the 90s.
Yes.
And there's a gentleman called Archbishop Dare.
I know the guy. I met him in London.
Archbishop Dare
Eh.
did a song called When Jesus Says Yes, Nobody Can Say No. When Jesus Says Yes. That song.
Yes.
Why is that song credited today with Destiny's Child and Beyonce and Def Jam and not Pastor Dare?
Oh my goodness.
And up to now, Beyonce and Destiny's Child and Def Jam, they have earned $50 million US from that song.
Oh no.
The person who produced that song is Archbishop Dare.
Yes.
The guy who produced that song.
Yes.
What didn't he identify in that song that Destiny's Child have identified?
Oh my goodness.
Another example, a few years ago, Disney did a movie that was called The Lion King.
Yes.
In that movie, Disney registered the trademark Hakuna Matata,
Okay.
which is a Kenyan identity. In the 80s, there's a group called The Mushrooms.
Yes.
The Mushrooms did a song, Jambo, Jambo Bwana, habari gani. In that song, they say, Kenya nchi nzuri, hakuna What didn't they identify in their own songs that Disney years later identified?
Yes.
So intellectual property begins from this point, yes. What you can create, can you define it?
Okay.
So
okay.
intellectual property does not even begin with registration.
Yes.
Intellectual property begins with what you can define.
Yes.
If you ask someone what is Uber, someone will tell you Uber is a cab. Uber is not a cab. Because if you go back to their own source document, they say Uber is a cab hailing service. By the mere fact of the word cab hailing, they have created an entire industry that has never existed.
Yes.
So we are living in our time that in order for you to take advantage of intellectual property in regardless of any circumstance or marketplace that you're in, intellectual property begins from a point of defining what you do. The moment you just call yourself, typically someone would call me a lawyer. But if I call myself a lawyer, I compete with, in Nairobi today we have close to 47,000 lawyers.
Yes.
In Nairobi alone.
Yes.
A huge a chunk of that practice intellectual property.
Yes.
So if I say I'm an intellectual property lawyer,
Yeah.
I'm competing with 3 to 15,000 people every day.
Yes.
It's not in my best interest.
Yes.
So we invented a space for our own practice called proprietary operational capacity thresholds.
Yes.
So proprietary capacity thresholds, can you take an informed guess how many lawyers under the sun practice proprietary operational capacity thresholds?
I don't know.
Yours truly.
Only.
So intellectual property is to what you can define. The moment you define it, you own it. That is the fundamental principle in intellectual property.
Yes.
There's a reason why our great grandfather Adam was asked to name things.
Yes.
The principle of naming originated from God. Whatever you name, you own.
Yes.
And that is where ownership begins.
Wow. Wow. Whatever you name,
You own.
you own.
Yes, sir.
Wow. 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 This is an amazing conversation. I hope that you're listening. I'm listening so carefully. And I tell you what, I am the first beneficiary of conversations that we ever have here. So I want you to pay serious attention to what we are talking about here. I want you to know that, you know, everything we say here really can change your life and can transform your future. So you are an entrepreneur out there, you are a business person, you are professional, and you know, you run an enterprise, or you could be a lecturer, and there is some concepts you have developed, or even a workbook or a manual that can help train people, you know, students, and there is maybe a very unique methodology that you follow, or a framework. And so you can, by the way, think about that kind of an example, because
Yes.
people in the education space, for
Yes.
example, or
Yes.
training, I think, where are the opportunities? So I'm asking in general, where are the opportunities? And are there opportunities, say, for example, in the training, if you are a lecturer or a teacher, or even pastors?
Yes.
Where are the opportunities?
Knowledge.
Okay.
Knowledge is the least exploited form of resource,
Oh my goodness.
because majority of us don't distinguish between knowledge and information.
Okay.
We don't know who is the bearer of knowledge, who
Yes.
is the bearer of information. Information helps an individual to crystallize knowledge.
Okay.
Knowledge ought to be proprietary.
Okay.
There's an individual who was seated under a tree, and this individual was idling.
Yes.
And the individual, I don't know where his mind was, because the individual asks, why didn't this apple fall going upwards?
That's Isaac Newton.
Yes.
Yes.
And that question itself, you might say that that guy was maybe high. But the challenge with most of us is we are never inquisitive.
Yes.
So Isaac Newton asked, why didn't this thing fall going upward?
Yes.
And up to that point, he originated a law
Yes.
that is today functional up to date.
Yes.
And that law is credited to that guy.
Yes.
That law made that guy to be knighted by the King of England.
Yes.
So he changed his name to Sir
Isaac
Newton.
Newton, yes.
Isaac Newton gave us the law of gravity.
Yes.
Did that word come from heaven?
No.
No, it didn't. So in academia, the greatest mistake that we make is we don't identify our contribution in academia.
Yes.
Knowledge is the greatest form of resource anywhere under
Yes.
the sun. The proponent of people who deal in knowledge do not know what is knowledge.
Yes.
Allow me to give you an example.
Yeah.
In 2014, there's a lady who had published her PhD online. And there's an institution from Germany that came across it that wanted to verify it further. In Europe, 90% of the economy is intellectual property.
Yes.
It's only in Kenya where the backbone of our economy is agriculture.
Yeah. And they are very proud about it.
Okay, that's a conversation for another day. So this lady reaches out, asks me, Wakili, what do I do? This institution wants to verify this further. I've reached out to a few of my professor friends and they're telling me not to do that. They will spoil the overall body and character of the body of my work.
Yeah.
So I asked this lady, Daktari, what have you done in academia? Whenever an individual is putting up a paper, when you're publishing a paper or a journal, you are advancing knowledge.
Yes.
That knowledge that you're advancing is property.
Yes.
And that is where each and every person in academia, whether you're in certificate level, diploma, degree, master's, postgraduate, PhD, it doesn't matter. Knowledge is not a respecter of persons. There's a gentleman who only had 3 months of schooling. The gentleman perfected incandescent light. Today people go all the way to PhD to just study what did Thomas Edison see in the incandescent light.
Yes.
That is knowledge. So today people are going all the way to PhD to study something that was advanced by an individual that had no days of schooling.
Yes.
There is another guy called William Shakespeare.
Yes.
William Shakespeare wrote some of the most amazing phrases.
Yes.
Today people go all the way to PhD just to read one of Shakespeare's line.
Yes.
A rose by any name is lovelier still. The guy has 4 months of education in his entire life.
Yes.
Knowledge is not a respecter of persons.
Yes.
The only thing that an individual needs to know is to stake a claim in the knowledge that you have advanced.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now the gentleman you're talking to here is hearing you very, very clearly, because I think I'm in the intellectual space.
Yes.
I'm in the academy.
Yes.
Academy, and I know we people in the academy, we produce so much
Yes, sir.
knowledge.
Yes, sir.
So many wonderful ideas, and all we do is just put a copyright that C
Yes.
next to our master's thesis or PhD thesis, and that's it. And then we go home and look for a job.
Yes. Yes.
And don't do anything beyond that. And so what you're saying is that if we must discover the property in the intellectual idea that
Yes.
we have birthed.
Yes.
Something that we are able to formulate. I mean, bringing together ideas and forming, we call it a framework, a simple framework. Maybe this leads to this, and these are the elements. And and maybe even draw a chart. Very simple ideas, but very, very profound.
Yes,
But
sir.
you're saying, unless we are willing now to turn that into something that can actually create wealth,
Yes.
then we can talk all we want about intellectual property.
Yes.
I don't know what you think, and I want you to comment on this as we go to a break, about this obsession here in Africa about our minerals and our great source of wealth.
Yes. Yes. The thing is this, Pasi.
Yes.
Our revolution today at the marketplace
Yes.
is we have shifted from the industrial revolution.
Yes.
In the industrial revolution, it was agrarian.
Yes.
And that is why we had whoever owned land determined the extent of productivity. Today, our factors of production is knowledge.
Yes.
Any person with knowledge is greatly sought after. Our next factor of production is ideas. Any person with ideas is greatly sought after. It's one of the reasons why anyone who attends some of our events, I always say this, a day without ideas is a wasted day. Because today you might not have access to huge chunks of land, but no one stops you from having access to your ideas. So in as much as we might have deposits of minerals in some of our lands in Africa, but the greatest deposit that all of us have is we have working brains. And if our working brains can just be charged to identify what we are creating, then we are going to enter into the next space of intangible economy, where people will generate livelihood and people will sustain wealth purely from what we are creating. You are limited at what you can get from land, but you're not limited from what you can get from your brain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very amazing conversation here. I hope you're not missing this conversation, and please let us know what you think. If you have some ideas, something you have invented, something you have created, or even some of you who are musicians or songwriters or book writers, what is it in your book that you feel is the greatest contribution in terms of advancing ideas, and can that really be turned into something that is commercial? Because a lot of our wealth is in our mind. And so we are learning here, and thank you very, very much, those of you that are following here. And yours truly, Karen Kibuchi, is following, enjoying the conversation, make a claim to the knowledge I have. Yes, Pastor Asunta Juma, a day without ideas is a wasted day. These are wonderful women of God, I'm telling you, listening in. Thank you so much, Pastor Asunta. Please stay tuned in. And Karen over there, we have another 30 minutes to go. And so we will take a short break. When we come back, we continue to discuss this particular subject of franchising and licensing opportunities. Thank you. And so take a break. We're coming back to this conversation.
Anytime, anywhere. Access inspiration that never switches off. Stuck in traffic? Elevate your mood and own the moment. Just looking busy? Make every second count. Tap into Kingdom content instead. One tap. Instant power. Real transformation. Download the Elevate TV app now. Exclusively on Google Play. Life Church International, the Apostolic House, is taking a bold step of faith, introducing the Infinity Eastern Bypass Land Project, our mission to secure land for God's house, a place where generations will be transformed. To encourage your support, Apostle David Juma is giving a powerful gift. His transformational book, Restructuring Your Money. With every gift of only 2,000 Kenyan shillings, you receive this life-changing book, personally autographed by Apostle David, and you sow into a legacy of faith. Partner with us. Possess the land. Build God's house. The time is now. Anytime, anywhere. Access inspiration that never switches off. Stuck in traffic? Elevate your mood and own the moment. Just looking busy? Make every second count. Tap into Kingdom content instead. One tap. Instant power. Real transformation. Download the Elevate TV app now. Exclusively on Google Play.
All right, good morning. We are continuing. I'm laughing because of the sets here, we are having an amazing conversation, but we want to bring you in. We are talking about opportunities in franchise and licensing, and my guest here, my friend Omuga, Ogwang. He's an amazing guy. He's a lawyer. He's a very, very, very interesting man who understands intellectual properties, the way you can turn your ideas into something that is commercial, that you can commercialize, you can sell, you can make money out of it, you can turn your name into a franchise, you can turn your song into a franchise. Actually, you can get people to sing songs in your name, and you make your money out of it. So there are so many opportunities. So my brother, before we went to the break,
Yes, sir.
when we went to the break, you mentioned that I think we have hardly scratched the issue of franchising. So let's talk about franchising.
Yes.
Because we don't know how long it's going to take us to get back to this conversation the next time round.
Yes, sir.
And off the set, you mentioned a name that is very familiar.
Yes.
John Grisham.
Yes.
This is a novelist.
Yes.
And a lot of novels. Right now, if somebody goes to the streets of Nairobi,
Yes.
or any of the bookshops, they'll find a John Grisham novel.
Yes.
Talk about that and how John Grisham name now has turned into a franchise.
Yes.
And I can write a name and
Yes.
call it John Grisham.
Yes. Now, franchise is one of the most beautiful inventions in the marketplace.
Yes.
Franchising is when an individual has come up with something that no one can get it anywhere but from you.
Okay.
John tells us in 1 John that for this very purpose, the Son of Man was made manifest.
Yes.
That he may destroy the works of the devil.
Yes.
So there are certain things, when it comes to destruction of the works of the enemy,
Yes.
there's only one person you'll go to.
Yes.
And that is Christ Jesus our Lord.
He used the franchise.
Yes, he's the franchise in that.
Destroy the works of the devil.
Works of the devil.
Yes.
So each one of us,
Yes.
there's an area at the marketplace that you must have authority.
Yes.
When you have authority in that space,
Yes.
then whatsoever you're doing, no one can get it from anywhere but you.
Yes.
So when you have that position, you have put yourself into a potential franchise.
Yes.
Any person who has authored anything is a potential franchise.
Yes.
Any person who has a logo is a potential franchise.
Yes.
Any person who has a business that is running, you might not know what you're doing, but as long as your business is running, you're a potential franchise.
Yes.
So any person with these three things
Okay.
can become a franchise.
All right.
Any person with a product, any person with a system, any person with a process
Yes.
to do anything
Yes.
can be a franchise.
Yes.
There's a gentleman who used to practice law, and he's called John Grisham. John Grisham is a learned lawyer,
Yes.
very proficient and prolific in the space of criminal law. John used to practice criminal practice, and John reached to a point whereby now he said, I want to make people to appreciate criminal practice in other ways. So John started writing novels.
Yes.
He has built a reputation around his name. There is an expectation whenever you come across a John Grisham novel, that expectation he has converted into assets.
Yes.
So it is those assets that now you approach John Grisham, because you've built this reputation at the marketplace. Allow me to use that reputation and do what I want to do. So John has requirements that you have to meet.
Yes.
When you have met all those requirements, then you come at John Grisham.
Yes.
The other person is John C. Maxwell.
Okay.
John C. Maxwell is in the space of leadership training.
Yes.
He has built a reputation. He has built an expectation around him.
Yeah.
He has built a system of developing leadership. His leadership model.
Yes.
Today you can go and access the John C. Maxwell model of leadership.
Yes.
So franchising is Have you built something at the marketplace? Like we started with the intellectual property, it's quite unfortunate that majority of us are just ignorant.
Yes.
I always tell people there are two things that you don't want to be associated with. Ignorance is one of them. The
Yes.
other one is laziness.
Yes.
Ignorance is so severe
Yes.
that it makes even God rejects an individual. He says in Hosea, my people are perishing for lack of knowledge.
Yes.
And because you have rejected knowledge,
Yes.
I, the Lord, also has rejected you from being my priest.
Oh my goodness.
So ignorance is something that limits all of us at the marketplace. Any person with a logo, any person with a name can do any business under the sun because a product can be reduced simply to a logo.
Yes.
So a franchise is an individual that has built something that no one can get it anywhere under the sun.
Yes.
If you want to come and deal in proprietary operational capacity threshold, you cannot get it anywhere under the sun but me.
Yes.
So I am tentatively a franchise model.
Yes.
Because in my area of practice, what I know, you cannot access it anywhere.
Yes.
You cannot get it from my colleagues, you cannot get it from my law lecturers, you can only get it from me.
Yes.
So in order for you to get it from me,
Yes.
I will have a requirement that you must meet.
Yes.
So that is what is a franchise. Three things that are very important.
Yeah.
Do you have a product? Do you have a system? And do you have a process in place?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And I think we need to give an example here so that people can appreciate what we are talking about.
Yes.
One of the franchise that is in town,
Yes.
you know, in Nairobi,
Yes.
is the Java. You know,
Amazing.
we are not marketing for them.
No,
but
we are not.
Java restaurant. Every time you go to a Java, you order your dawa. By the way, and I realized they have even expanded the dawa flavor.
Yes.
You know, into a number of flavor. But anyway, dawa is associated with
Java.
With Java.
Yes.
Some young man sang a song, Nikupeleke Java or
Nikupeleke
something like
Java,
that.
yes.
And you know, by the way, my daughter was telling me that song
Yes.
actually popularized Java, and I think they have an agreement with that young
Might
man
be, might
who actually sang the song.
Yes.
And I mean, he sang it just for his for the fun of
Yes.
singing.
Yes.
And so we are saying, here you have a business called Java,
Yes.
and it is the same thing everywhere.
Yes. Consistency.
So what they have is a system and a process.
Yes.
And then of course a logo.
Yes.
And the image and the colors around
Yes.
it.
So them they have the three.
Yes.
Yes, them they have the three. And you'll be amazed, man of God, that today on earth,
Yes.
there are 27,000 Java outlets.
My God.
Java is one of the most expensive franchises that you need 15 million Kenya shillings just to be associated with the name. You have not even begun with the process.
Huh?
15 million shillings just for that name.
Yes.
When Mark Zuckerberg visited Kenya a few years ago,
Yes.
one of the people that slept on a franchise opportunity is where Mark Zuckerberg went to do lunch.
Yes.
Mama Oliech.
Yes.
Today, Mama Oliech would be a fish franchise all over the African continent.
Yes.
They walked out of a goodwill that was given to them by Mark Zuckerberg.
My goodness.
Franchises everywhere. When you go to fuel at your fuel petrol station, that is a franchise.
Yes.
When you watch James Bond movie, that is a franchise.
Yes.
When you read a Sidney Sheldon novel, that is a franchise.
Yes.
When you read franchises are all over.
Yes.
The only challenge is we don't know how to install franchise relationships.
Yes.
Franchise is available to any person that either has a product,
Yes.
you have a system, or you have a process in place. If you can have all these three,
Yes.
then you're a successful and potential franchiser.
Oh my goodness me.
Yes,
That is amazing. That is amazing. That really is so heartwarming.
Yes.
When you think that we all, especially people in small business, including schools actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the Riara group of schools, I think is a franchise. There's another, although these are the expensive schools, maybe we shouldn't just advertise for them. but I think, because you see, we are talking about practical ideas
Yes,
here.
yes.
And you are a lawyer, so
Yes.
you're here, you can help out
Yes, yes.
anyone who wants to formalize their franchise.
Yes.
So, but we're saying there are so many opportunities out there. If you can put together a product, a system, and a process, and then have a logo around it.
Around it.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so systemize it in such a way that that way of doing stuff can be, you can own it. You are the perfecter of that system, and then it can be used by other people.
In education, allow me if you can just allow me.
Yes.
One of the most, I tell people, anyone with a school, anyone with a school,
Yes.
is a potential franchisor.
Yes.
There is a model called the Montessori model.
Yes.
Montessori model is a system of instructing learners.
Yes.
The Montessori model has 45,000 schools all over the world employing Montessori model. Any person with a school that you have originated your own style of instruction, because Montessori is just pedagogy, the way we go about instructing learners and the interaction with learners in the process of transmitting information. That is the Montessori model.
Yes.
Every school under the sun
Yes.
has a unique way that they deliver instruction.
Correct.
That extent is whereby now they can start with franchising. Franchising, whether you are a tailor, whether you are an eatery, whether you are a transport company, regardless, as long as there is something you're doing,
Yes.
then you can be a franchise. Now, this is one of the things that people need to know about franchise.
Yes.
A franchise is a restrictive relationship.
Yes.
It's a relationship whereby you comply with the requirement and the extents of the franchisor. And a franchise relationship does not give you a wiggle room. And that's why I started by saying that whosoever wants to demolish the works of darkness must go to Christ.
Yes.
And Christ will give you a restricted relationship of engagement with him.
Yes.
Now, that is franchising.
Yes.
Franchise has a cousin.
Yes.
And the cousin to franchise is called licensing.
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah, I like the way the word cousin, by the way, has become very, very popular. Now you have introduced cousins here. The word cousin is trending, in Kenya at the moment. And I just want to acknowledge there is another gentleman here called Rogers Odima. Interesting insights. Rogers, you're following this conversation. You are a blessed man. And I think we need to have this gentleman. We're going to have you.
Thank you.
I will introduce you to Rogers, and then we can have you talk to the CEOs about this business of franchising and
Yes,
all
sir.
that.
Yes, sir.
Because it's really, really so profound.
Yes,
The things you are telling us here. So the restrictive relationship
Yes.
within franchising,
Yes.
because if whether it's a restaurant you're opening, whether it's for example McDonald's. We
Yes.
don't have McDonald's here. We have KFC. KFC, when they came in, their first store was here on Kimathi Street.
Yes.
And they have the way they want it done, the colors, everything, the experience, the smell.
Yes.
Inside that store.
Yes.
Your potatoes must be roasted. The size and that strip.
Yes.
That fly.
Yes.
Must be a long strip.
Yes.
I mean, kind of, the eater may not notice that it is a restriction even on the size of the fly.
Yes.
And the shape.
Yes.
And the colors.
Yes.
Everything is restricted.
Yes.
And you're told this is how you run this restaurant.
Yes.
This is the process. This is how you serve the client.
Yes.
And when you do that, you make money.
And another amazing thing.
Yes.
It's only in Kenya where entrepreneurs are lazy.
You can say that again.
It's only in Kenya where entrepreneurs are lazy.
Yes.
The KFC model
Yes.
is one of the most profound models all over the world.
Yes.
The KFC chicken is not a typical chicken.
Yes.
The KFC chicken is a chicken that has been engineered. That chicken, that taste is constant all over the world.
Yes.
If you walk into a KFC outlet, the expectation of taste is constant all over the world.
Yes.
The fries, that potato is not Irish. That potato, they engineered that potato in a laboratory, and they have a case in India where they were carrying out the model for that potato.
Yes.
It's only in Kenya, man of God,
yes,
where people are lazy. Entrepreneurship is not about I have people who can consume what I'm doing.
Yes.
Entrepreneurship is about I'm providing something that cannot be replicated anywhere.
Yes.
2 years ago, there was a Nyandarua MP who said, we are going to force KFC to take our potato because our potato is just spoiling in Nyandarua. KFC cannot. Because their potato is a special breed of potato.
Yes.
So if we can be deliberate and intentional,
yes,
then we can arrive at points whereby no one has ever arrived.
Yes.
There is a thing that you said when we started about Marks and Spencer.
Yeah.
Today, a typical person in Kenya wears a Calvins and Klein boxers.
Yes.
And I always ask, where do you think these boxers come from? Someone will tell you, in the US. I'm like, no, these boxers are coming from EPZ in Athi River. How is it that Calvins and Klein, they have licensed their boxer model
Yes.
to EPZs across African continent? That license is expiring in 2027 and it's worth 3.9 billion Kenya shillings. Do you want to tell me there are no Kenyan designers who know that there is EPZ here that we can engage through licensing?
Oh my God.
Ignorance is the worst thing that any person can be associated with. When you have ignorance, you deny yourself what you can maximize and what you can realize.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now you're setting this conversation on fire. You're setting this conversation on fire because, man, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's really amazing. Yeah, so we say it so that people can get where we're coming from.
Yes, yes, yes.
So that label,
Yes.
that little strip on the shirt.
Yes.
So first of all, you design it.
Yes.
Whether it's Marks and Spencer shirt, it's maybe slim fit
Yes.
or normal fit,
Yes.
whatever. People know that we are talking about shirts because we are men.
Yes, sir.
And we wear shirts.
Yes, sir.
And so we are, and men completely don't even think about it. So you're saying that having that sticker there,
Yes.
even if you're paying the owner of the Marks and Spencer or whatever other brand it is, you're paying them, let's say, 50 cents of a dollar.
Yes.
For that label, the
Yes.
guy who is actually knitting the shirt, and you have to knit it in a certain way. The cotton has to be a certain quality.
Yes.
You have to buy that cotton from a certain supplier,
Yes.
a certain fabric,
Yes.
so that then the brand is consistent.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we need to break that down for our people.
Yes, sir.
So there's nothing new. Anybody else can buy that same cotton, but you're saying you buy the cotton plus the sticker.
Not anyone else can buy that cotton. There's a few years ago, a colleague of mine
Yes.
asked me, where do you get your suits from? I'm like, I get them from such and such. And said, I'll take you where my husband gets his suits from.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, let's go. So the gentleman saw me walk in and asked me, boss, is that a Hugo Boss suit? I didn't know. I just bought it because it was expensive.
Yes.
So the guy tells me, that's a Hugo Boss suit. And I asked him, how did you know? He tells me, there's only one designer on earth that stitches with that space. Hugo Boss suits are meant to adjust as you wear.
Yes.
They don't crease because the person in the stitching, they have a wiggle room for adjusting so that it adjusts with you sitting.
Yes.
And the guy tells me, you see that cutting? Yes, there's only one company that cuts like that all over the world.
Yes.
And then he tells me, you see that button? Yes. There's only one company in the world that does that button.
Yes.
It's Hugo Boss.
Yes.
That is deliberateness.
Yes.
You will be shocked how many of us are not deliberate. Even as sermons, people who are preaching sermons, we are not deliberate even with how we go about sermons. We are so haphazard at how we go about sermon. If we can just be deliberate from a point of, I want this thing to be identified with me, then that is the point whereby now you are crystallizing assets in your intellectual property that subsequently now you can transform into franchise. That expectation that you're saying that if you wear a Hugo Boss suit or if you wear a Calvin Klein something,
Yes.
there is an expectation that an informed person has.
Yes.
That expectation is what draws revenue.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you know, I mean, there are friends of mine who are preachers, and they have been preaching. They have a style, and one of them could be listening to me right now, and people know the way you deliver your message,
Yes.
the way you go about.
Yes.
You are saying, and maybe I think TD Jakes actually did
Oratory. His oratory. And that one is actually licensed. Yes. The Jakes, it's called the TD Jakes something. They license that model in training.
Yes.
Yes, in seminary.
Yes, in seminary.
Yes.
How to deliver.
As like TD
it's
Jakes.
part of the homiletics.
Yes.
Module.
Yes, sir.
How to deliver like TD Jakes.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about, franchising, franchise licensing and all that. And I know you mentioned something a little bit about franchising before we lose it. You said that franchises are very restrictive.
Yes.
But licensing,
Is-
tell us a little bit the differences between the two and why they are separate. Yeah.
Franchise is restrictive because franchise, you do it the same way the owner is doing it.
Okay.
In a licensed relationship, he gives you the wiggle room that you can do it in your own style, but you must do what I'm doing.
Okay.
A typical example of a license is
Yeah.
Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Coca-Cola all over. Coca-Cola is a small company in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
That is all over the world by simply employing licensing.
Yes.
So Coca-Cola says you will come to us for the license.
Yes.
That license is what a typical person would call the formula, that syrup.
Yes.
But Coca-Cola says, we don't mind how you're going to call yourself.
Yes.
You can call yourself Equator Bottlers, you can call yourself Nairobi Bottlers, you can call yourself Kitui Bottlers. It doesn't matter.
Rift Valley Bottlers, etc.
Yes. The only thing you have to use is our syrup in the dimensions that we want you to mix it.
Yes.
But when it comes to a franchise, a Java is a Java.
Yes.
Whether you are in Otochirakuom somewhere in Homa Bay,
Yes.
it's a Java. Whether you're in Kangaita somewhere in Nanyuki, it's a Java.
Yes.
So that is the restrictive model of Java.
Yes.
They don't give you room.
Yes.
You can never go into a Java and come across color blue.
Yes.
That is not part of their shade.
Yes.
Do you know Java owns that shade of color? I have a client of mine, I don't want to mention his name. My client has 12,000 shades of color. Even if I don't get another client, I have one client that will feed me till I die, till all my children die, till all their children die.
My
We are now at color 79. The guy has 12,000 shades of color.
Of what now? Paint.
Of paint.
Yes.
Deliberateness, and the gentleman is a Jew. Deliberateness is what is lacking in a Kenyan. A typical African entrepreneur is not deliberate.
Yes.
Allow me to finish with this.
Yeah.
There is a reason why I introduce myself. My name is Ogwang, Omuga Ogwang.
Yes.
That is called the James Bond model of salutation.
Yes.
An alpha male introduces himself as, my name is Ogwang, Omuga Ogwang. Any person who has went through Harvard Business School introduces himself in the same way.
Yes.
James Bond developed a way of alpha male, particularly for a business community.
Yes.
And they have licensed that to Harvard Business School.
Yes.
Any person that comes from Harvard introduces himself, my name is Ogwang, Omuga Ogwang. I've never been to Harvard.
Yes.
I've never been to Harvard. What would we do if we were just a little deliberate as people who appear at the marketplace?
Yes.
We are appearing at the marketplace, and what you're doing today might go for all duration.
Yes.
Let me finish with this. I was told a good preacher finishes 3 times.
Yeah.
After David had served the purpose of God for his generation,
Yes.
David died.
Yes.
Each one of us, we have one purpose to serve. Mine is to create intellectual property awareness in every person I come into contact with.
Yes.
Because each and every person has a deposit of genius that God had given all of us.
Yes.
When I came here in the morning, a gentleman who did my shoe shine is blind.
Yes.
And I'm asking him, Josephat, yes. I can, so the guy tells me, I'm blind, bro. So I'm like, so utajuaje paint rangi? And then he tells me, why don't utaniambia gari nafanana kiatu? And I'm like, Josephat, I'm blind. And then he does an amazing job. And then after that, I asked Josephat, so how will you know that I've paid you? He tells me, I'll trust you. I'll trust you.
Yes.
All of us, we were put here to do something.
Yes.
And if you can do it right, God in his faithfulness will ensure that that thing will feed your generations for all time till he returns.
Oh my goodness.
And that is intellectual property.
This is amazing. This is amazing. This is amazing. I am telling you, guys here are, we started very slowly, but the engagement now is shot up. People are just so excited about this conversation. Karen is at it again. This is a very insightful conversation. Where are all the SMEs? Huge opportunities.
Yes.
Absolutely huge.
Yes.
And Daniel Mwai here, great program, Pastor Kibuchi, and happy. I don't know whether he's wishing me happy birthday or something. He's following this conversation. So thank you all of you that are tuned in and have been following this conversation. We are talking about franchise, the opportunities in franchise and licensing.
Yes.
We have actually just scratched the surface. There's still so much.
Yes.
There's still so much we have to talk about, because the next part of the conversation, maybe when you come back, is this, you see, here in Africa, you hear this conversation about African gold, minerals, Congo, and all that. And Africans are obsessed with the ideas that they have all this gold, and those evil white people, exploiting us. I don't know how they get to our forest.
Yes.
And those are romantic ideas.
Yes.
Nobody cares for your gold if it is under your mountain, until you mine it, bring it to the surface, and put your label on it.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And maybe gold is really not the biggest thing. Today, I think things like, for example, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, they are worth many mountains of gold.
Yes, sir.
And the Americans are not talking about their mountains.
Yes.
So in other words, we need to flip this idea.
Yes,
Africa, yes, is full of wealth, but our wealth is stored in our minds,
yes, sir,
and we are not exploiting it.
Yes.
So your final words to our viewers, take your time, and then what kind of action? How should they act going forward?
One, thank you so much for your time. The greatest discovery that each one of us can make is the discovery to identify that you have a mind. This up here is a brain. This is not your mind. Your mind is a faculty in your soul. And let me give you a hint. If you can arrive at where your soul is, chances are you will discover your mind. But here is where I want you to understand. Each one of us, our mind constantly works. If you can just find what your mind is working at, then you are on the right path to the greatest discovery of your life. The greatest discovery of life is not out there. The greatest discovery of your life is, Lord, how does my mind work? When does it work? And how can I draw from my mind? Allow me to finish with this. The human mind is a reservoir for all knowing. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you an amazing week. God watch over you and everything that concerns you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you very much indeed for staying tuned in. I am so blessed to have Omuga, then Ogwang?
Ogwang Omuga.
Ogwang Omuga.
Yes.
Absolutely. He's telling me that there is a way you introduce yourself.
Yes.
When I bring you back, I'm going to give you time to teach us how to really introduce ourselves. Can you imagine? Such a... God bless you. This is the Monday Morning Digest. It can get very, very exciting, and so never miss a moment, never miss a conversation. I look forward to seeing you next week. Keep it elevate, same time, same channel. God bless you, and have a great week. Bye from us here today. I am Godfrey Gichuki. Always a pleasure. God bless you. Bye for now.